I remember like it was yesterday. It was one of the most exciting things that a couple can go through when they find out that they're expecting a child. It was a surprise for us as our children are older, so there was quite a bit of an age gap, but we were excited. Made it through the first trimester very well, and then around week 15, found out that I was having some complications, and I went to the doctor, and he confirmed some complications that were going to cause some restrictions, thinking that I was definitely going to have to go on bed rest if I was going to carry this baby to healthy term. I was willing to do whatever I needed to do, so I followed all the protocols that the doctor told me that I needed to follow.
And somewhere around week 22, is late at night, Heidi was having pain. And so she was up and down all night. And early in the mornings, I was asleep. And she woke me up, calling my name. She was in the bathroom. And so I went in and checked on her. And she was having some horrible pain. So I called the doctor, and he happened to be on call. Our baby doctor happened to be on call at the hospital, and he said, just have her lay down, thinking it might be, false labor. Maybe she lay down, rest a little bit, and it would go away. And about a half hour later, she had a lot of pain. And so right then and there, in the early morning hours, we delivered our baby, little stillborn boy, and it was a very hard time.
It's that time that as a new father, you're supposed to experience that most exciting thing that you could, time of your life. And Mike had to cut the umbilical cord in our bathroom. He had to wash our baby, wrap him. And this child that was only 22 weeks but had every finger, every toe, every feature. And what should have been the most exciting moment of our lives what turned into be one of the most tragic times. And what happened after that in the next few hours was really a blur to me.
It was because Heidi had developed further complications of starting to hemorrhage. And so woke up our son at the time, young son, Cody, who was about 9 years old, and rushed Heidi to the hospital. They put her in the room, and further complications occurred. Had to do an emergency procedure on her. It actually turned out they had to give her 2 or 3 pints of blood because she had lost so much. And so it was a scary time at that time. Not only losing our child, was really worried and scared that I may lose my wife.
At that time, I don't remember a lot that happened in the hospital, but I do remember once I got to come home, I hit probably the darkest depression that I'd ever hit in my life. I didn't want to leave my bedroom. I had experienced a lot of tragedy through the years in my life, but nothing compared to losing the child in my own home, in my own bathroom that I didn't even want to walk into the bathroom. So I hit the deepest, darkest depression I could imagine. And I kept asking God, why? And I remember Mike coming in the room one day, and he probably doesn't even remember it, but he looked at me and said, you've got to get up. You have an 8-year-old son that needs his mama, and you've got to pull it together. And at that moment, I said, God, why? Why did you let this happen to me? And it was like a still, loud, clear voice said, why not you? He said, I've promised you through the years, Isaiah 43, fear not, I've redeemed you, I've called you. You are mine. And when you pass through those waters, I'm with you. And I knew in that moment that no matter what the circumstance, that he was going to be with me. And I knew there was hope in the midst of the storm at that point. And he did send hope a short time later.
Several months later, Heidi was pregnant again with our boy now, with Zane. And we thought everything was going to be great. We were excited. We were still worried, but we were trusting the Lord that everything would be okay. And there was a point where about 7 weeks in, she went for a doctor visit. And the ultrasound, same doctor who had been with us that night, that terrible night, he said he's not picking up heartbeat. So he had scheduled a DNC
in 3 days.
In 3 days.
He wanted to do
and
some blood work.
So through that time, it was a really rough time. And we did a lot of praying. We kept saying, the Lord's got this. And so the doctor, he never done this. Heidi had to go in, and I don't know, I'm having a hard time telling it. So through the night, the doctor woke up and he said he had never experienced this, but he called for another ultrasound. And sure enough,
he said, there's not going to be a DNC today. There's a baby and you have a strong heartbeat. All my blood work for 3 days had not doubled and tripled like it was supposed to. So there again, right in the midst of tragedy again that we were facing,
right.
God showed us that, trust in me. I'm your hope.
He's still in control.
He's still in control. And we have a healthy 13-year-old boy, Zane. We named him Zane, which means God's gift.
Even the doctor called him his miracle baby. That's the hope we have, and that's the hope we always rely on. Even in tragedy, God has us.